Hey, everybody. We're not quite at the top of the hour. We'll probably wait an extra minute also to let people have a chance to get on the different live streams. So what I'd love from you guys is if you can start sharing. What are you sharing? You're sharing your experience. So you had fairy dust yesterday. The fairy dust was to connect to your next 1, 2, or 3 steps that would start to create a bridge from the future, from that next edge, that next rock in the stream, into your present now. So I'd love to hear you, see you start sharing on the chat, YouTube, Facebook, Zoom if you're a VIP. Ellen discovered that she's trying to do too much. That's a good discovery. This is an exploration and a discovery. We are metaphysicists here. So share what you experienced, share if you did follow through in one of your steps or more than one of your steps. That's one thing I'd like to know. Also, what has shifted for you? What has opened up? What are you learning? So we have 2 people learning that they're trying to do too much. Patricia says, so motivated from yesterday. Share it if you can share with me any comments on Zoom or Facebook. I'd love to see those too. And meanwhile, while I'm just looking for your reporting in, I want to invite you and actually request that you share. So share think about everybody here, think about at least one person that you know, better if it's more than one, who is part of our soul tribe. Maybe they're not as advanced as you are, maybe they are. And take a moment now and just invite them, whether WhatsApp, text message, email, or if you're on Facebook, I guess you can't share from a group, but you can share on a private message, or you can share on your profile. YouTube also, you can share. Just invite at least one person to join us who is in our soul tribe so that we can amplify the effects of what we're doing, and we can amplify the process of building the field from the future. We'll be reviewing what we did yesterday fairly quickly. There's a lot of new material to cover. Today, we will be doing another process that's designed to help you rewire the brain in actual experiential time. You've probably heard that when the brain is experiencing something with the appropriate intensity of emotion. So not just like, oh, I'm daydreaming, the beach is so pretty, but when I'm feeling my feet walking in the sand and I'm hearing the power of the waves and I'm feeling that life force that opens the heart and raises that sense of being alive. So when you experience in your thought, in your imagination, something like that, it actually changes the brain wiring all by itself. As I'm sure most people here have heard, maybe not, but I would think that the unconscious, that when you visualize something, the brain cannot tell the difference between what you visualize in that sensory intensity and what actually happened. Even to the point where people who visualize playing golf or visualize tennis or visualize lifting weights make the same muscle changes, the same improvements in their game as people who actually are doing the physical. So the mind is super powerful. And that is a very, very, very central point to all of this. Cheryl says, step 2, well, where's step 1? Step 1, focus on classes today and tomorrow and give them the time necessary to help me move forward. That's beautiful. Love it, Cheryl. Step 2, start again making a weekly plan so I can get the important things done. Step 3, renew my passport in preparation for reopening Aliyah files. So you're planning to move to Israel. Amazing. So just make sure that you have dates for these things, times and dates, because lots of times we make big lists, right? We have a lot of intentions, but the lists don't get done and they're not in priority. So we want to move a good idea to an actual grounded intention. Very, very, very powerful, very important. Okay, Connie, I'm trying to remain the witness of consciousness versus letting my thoughts be the dictator of my experience. That life is just experience, not me. Dates are the purpose of the weekly plan. Okay, when are you making the weekly plan? Is there a particular day? And you guys, if you think I'm being, picayune to take it to this level of detail, think again, because it is when we identify the little step, that little plan, that little detail, the one that's going to connect us between where we are at this moment Maybe we're confused. Maybe we're overwhelmed. Maybe we're unclear. Maybe we're afraid. Maybe we're uncomfortable. There's always one step that you can take, one next step that will take you past your current edge into your next edge. At the end of the day, this 3-day training is about the next edge for humanity, which we will quickly review and very, very soon. And what is the next edge for you? Because it's a holographic universe. When you take that one little step, or I like to say 1, 2, 3, between the rock you're standing on and the rock you're looking to get to, that one step takes you past your current edge into the next edge. And that, if you're holding back or if you've been unclear, is a breakthrough. When you make a breakthrough, imagine that you're standing up against a wall. It might not feel like a wall. Sometimes it does. Close your eyes and actually imagine this. We didn't actually make a connection yet. So close your eyes and imagine you're standing in front of a wall. Before you do that, for the sake of the connection, let's just take a moment, breathe, be in touch with your body, feel what your body's feeling. Allow your awareness to drop in to your feet, your legs, buttocks, torso, front, back, shoulders, arms, hands, neck, face, scalp, the energy around you. Just tune in, be on receive. Be where you are right now. Remember now, or like I sometimes like to say, now and now and now and now and now and now and all the nano nows in between, infinite numbers of nows in between each time I'm saying now. That's the size of the present moment. In other words, it doesn't exist in our current frame of time. It exists in a different dimension. When we get very present, when we listen deeply, when we go on receive, yesterday we talked about the difference between transmit and receive. Probably the number one key and tool that you want to take away with you for every single day of your life, for every single hour, every single minute. Learn how to listen. Listen to your body, listen to your emotions, listen to your energy, listen to what you're learning, listen to the sound of the wind, listen to the inner voice, listen to the nudges, listen to the emotions. So in that moment of now, which you connect to through deep listening, and then listen even deeper. And if your little voice is talking to you, as it tends to do, watch yourself listening to the inner voice and fighting with it. You can always go deeper into your awareness so that you can be an observer, observing yourself, observing yourself, observing yourself, observing yourself. Keep taking deeper steps back into your own being. And that connects you to that moment of now, which is called an omek, a connector, the depth that's beyond past and future and connects the two. So as we're doing this, now imagine that you're standing in front of a wall. And that wall represents the barriers to getting to your next edge. Yesterday, we had a visual of standing on stepping stones or rocks in a river and looking at the next rock and wanting to be there and not knowing how to get there. And just looking over there and wishing, fearing, desiring, feeling uncomfortable, feeling uncertain, hanging back, feeling bad about hanging back, frustrated. We all know the feelings. And we started yesterday to build a bridge from the future, going backwards into the present. If I'm connecting to that future, starting now, what are the 1, 2, or 3 steps that I am taking right now? Honestly, the smaller, the better. So we don't want to miss any pieces in the circuitry. That will start to build a bridge into a new edge. So now imagine that the obstacles in the way, which are usually either lack of clarity, I have no idea what I'm doing next, I just haven't gotten close enough to it to figure out what the pieces are, or I don't know how to find out or figure out, or I feel uncomfortable or I feel scared, or I'm not certain if it's going to work. Those are the most common ones. So imagine you're standing in front of a wall made up of that stuff, and you're going to create a doorway in that wall, or it's just going to happen for you. We're going to create it together. even without any effort. So imagine now that that doorway opens in the wall and you can take a step in, not running to the middle of the next room, but you're taking a step into the next room, just a little step. Now, instead of having your nose against the wall, you've got your back against the wall. Looking ahead of you, you're in a whole new room that has yet to be explored, but there's a lot of space in that room. There's a lot of possibility for discovery, for movement, for exploration, for building and creating. Space to hear and see yourself. So that one step to the other side of the wall opened up an entirely new room. And that's, at the end of the day, what we want to do here. We want to open up an entirely new room, the door open enough that you will actually be able to step into that room. And now once you're on the other side of the wall, it looks and feels different, even if you just took that one little step. So just, again, be in touch with yourself. Now I'm going to make some silence here, and I'm going to invite you to think about what your next one little tiny step could be that will take you to the other side of wherever you've been stuck in this area of life that's important to you, that you're working with here throughout this challenge. And it can be as simple as, I don't know what to do next. Okay, should I Google? Should I reach out to a friend? Should I have a coaching session with somebody who knows? Should I pick up that book? Watch a YouTube? Talk to a buddy? How can I clarify my next step? And if you get an answer like that, let's say talk to a buddy. So then the next step is reaching out to that buddy. So then your one next step would be to send an email or make a phone call. And then the question is, when are you going to do it? And how will we know it's done? And I can add, how will you celebrate? Because again, that one step takes you from being in front of the wall, stuck and shut down in front of the wall, to having the wall behind you. And now it's a whole new game, whole open space. We can do this over and over. That's the truth. But once we master this process, we understand the power of the micro breakthrough, that 1, 2, and 3 shifts. Then you can jump from rock to rock with a lot more speed and a lot more ease. And let's add the question, can it be easy? How easy can it be? So just hang out here, think about your next 1, 2, or 3 steps in that important area of life. Let's spend about a minute doing that. And I want you to really imagine, first of all, break it down into the tiniest next micro breakthrough. Put a time on it, and then imagine the feeling of having done it. Okay, so I'm going to give you another 20 or 30 seconds here to really allow this to take form in your mind. If you're in VIP, by the way, and you feel like you need help with this, that's where I can actually give you the help, hone in on your particular situation. If you're not, feel free to post in the chat and I'll check and see what we can do in this time frame. So what is your next micro breakthrough, or 1, 2, or 3 micro breakthroughs, micro steps that will take you into your next edge? We don't want anyone to leave this training in the same place that you were before. That would be a waste of your life, right? That'd be a waste of your life. Okay, so come on back, open your eyes, and I'd like to hear from you guys. What did you see? And here I want to give kudos and a big hooray to Aviva, who followed through with clearing and organizing 3 spaces like she said she was going to do. Yesterday, I started with the smallest space, one shelf, and moved on to 2 larger projects. I will continue this because I feel like I shine inside and out. I feel lighter and more available. Look at that, cleared off a shelf and 2 bigger spaces. Aviva, I'm curious, how long did you wait to do that? Was this something recent or something that you put off for a while? It works either way, but. I'm waiting for a response. I'm waiting for responses from you guys. What is your next micro breakthrough? I'll just wait. This is a challenge, so I'm challenging you. It's not a class. Okay, Brenda says accountability buddy and did 15 minutes of organize my desk. Great. Those are big things. Vivienne, review my first chapter of Torah in French, find a translator in English to gain time. Okay, so I think those are next steps that you're going to take, Vivienne, if I'm not misunderstanding you. So I want to ask you to break that down further. How will you get the translator? So reviewing this first chapter, everybody listen. This is how it works. We want to know how the brain works. We're going to be talking about rewiring the brain in depth. So we have a thought about something we want to do, but if we're not, I'm not saying this is the case for Vivienne, but it might be that if we're not up close and personal with it, we might not know actually how to take that next step because we didn't think about it yet. So find a translator is actually a big project. Maybe you'll be able to do it quickly. Maybe you won't. Hopefully you will. But what's the next step? What are you actually going to do? If we're watching you, if we're videoing you now, Vivienne, after the class or during the class, you can do this now. What are you actually doing to find that translator? So this isn't just for Vivienne. This is for everybody. We want to get that micro step that we could actually film you doing and we would see something happening. My next step, Ellen says, to plan a strategy for organic marketing. That'll start tomorrow. Okay, nice. Colleen imagined herself as a mime at the wall. Yeah, good, Colleen. Gabby, I wanted to focus my next step with my biz. I did so in the fairy dust, put out my offer, but an issue with my son is overwhelming my attention. So what's one thing you can do, Gabby, to shift your experience or your reaction or your response to that situation? If you can think of one. So close your eyes again, Gabby, specifically, and just let yourself fall into that and see if you can get an answer. Ask a question of your deeper self and see if you can get some kind of image or answer and hold that space for a while if you need to. Is there any way to allow me to join with audio? We do that in the VIP, so not in the main session. So hold that audio thought. Yafa Gottlieb wrote my story, said it out loud to son. That's beautiful, Yafa. So Vivianne's going to call the association and find a student in university, in McGill University. Perfect. Okay. So you want to get the number. I guess you have that number. So when will you be doing this, Vivienne? All right. One space is recent. The other 2 were long-term, getting heavier. This is Aviva clearing her spaces. Getting heavier every day. That's why I felt so accomplished. It was my self-judgment and shame that I now see are part of the clearing. I was holding myself back on many levels. You guys, something as small as that, something you're procrastinating, maybe it won't look directly like the path to that business or to that new relationship. But if it's something like this, it is directly on that path. Aviva, I want to give you big kudos again. That's amazing. So everybody notice what is being shared here and then apply it to yourself. Vanessa said yes to a writing project outside of her comfort zone. Beautiful. Patricia, I chose my domain name and registered it. Wow, that's what you committed to. I'm working on my health challenge on Facebook. Talk about shifts. Beautiful. Laura Blair. Laura, I think I called you Linda yesterday. Sorry about that. Since I'm so conflicted, it probably is from the movie. I'm so conflicted about whether or not to teach the Hebrew class. I'm going to contact 2 women who know my life and ask them for their opinion. Good. Perfect. You know why that's perfect? Because it's the next step. So Laura took a deeper look, a closer look at an issue and saw that there's an intermediate step that has to be taken in order to help her make a decision. So if anybody else is in that place, who's going to help you? What's your intermediate step? I want to tell you, there's a book called Getting Things Done. I forgot the name of the author. And I only remember one thing from the book. I think I have it on my shelf, but I read it many, many years ago. And the thing that I remember is they said the main reason why people don't get things done, why they procrastinate, is because they don't know what to do next. And that's when we leave it like, I got to find a translator, or I have to make a decision, and we don't have the intermediate steps set up, that once we have those steps, it's just like almost like falling down. You're rolling down the hill because you know exactly where you're going to go next. Beautiful, you guys. I had other goals, feel like I need to reconfigure and start to find a way to give something and not take. So Audrey, go deeper with that. What would it be like? What's the next edge? What does it look like when you're giving? Who are you giving to? What's one step that you can take, or two or three, that will be a foray into that new way of being? Christine, I set a launch date for my podcast. These are awesome shifts, you guys. Leah says the new room was glorious wood library with lovely windows, so many places to explore. I'll make a list of next steps and visualize doing them on my flight this week. Okay, anything you can share with us, please share with us, because we're building a field. By the way, sharing is caring. I just had to say that. Sharing helps to build the field. Sharing is inspiring to others. It pulls out your thoughts into speech, which is a more powerfully creative garment of the soul, thought, speech, and action. So when we go from thought to speech and sharing, it pulls us toward action, and it pulls other people toward action too. Okay. I'm not going to read all of these out loud because I don't want to, we have too much to cover, but I do want to. A beautiful visualization from Sherelle, Judith Yael, decluttering bedroom, investigating communities, virtual pilot trip, beautiful. Yafa's going to polish the story. Donna made a needed call on a project and set up a service. Resistance stifling joy. Resistance does stifle joy 100%. That's how it works. That's how it works. But the joy's in there. I love that you said that, Donna. The joy is in all of us. The resistance stifles it. Resistance can be fear or discomfort, overwhelm, anything. Okay, having the courage to step up to talk about landscaping in front of a large audience. What would be the next one step, Cassie? What would be the next one step? Gabby is sharing a useful resource. Thank you. Early to bed, early to rise. Discipline. Thank you again. Getting things done by David Allen. That's it. Clearing fear verbally with my partner. I just need to share about something without expecting anything for him. So this already happened, Christy? You just shared something, you cleared fear verbally with your partner around finances? Did that actually happen already? Or it's a visualization? And that's beautiful. Seriously, look for a morning of learning that will challenge me and give me pleasure beginning tomorrow. Awesome. Naomi, Christy, this is great, you guys. This is great. Keep them coming. We're going to move on. We're all going to move on, not just into the material. We're going to move forward toward that next edge. And in doing so, we're furthering the next edge for everyone. For everyone. These energies of resistance and fear and confusion and overwhelm and insecurity and all of it, this is all part of what happened when Adam and Eve, of whom we are all cells, we were all there. It's imprinted in every single human being's psyche. Those things were embedded in us as part of our wiring at that time, eating from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And the biggest problem with them is each one of us is sitting, kind of hiding out in our own little space, hoping that nobody sees how awful it is inside, because everybody else, of course, is fearless and clear and proactive and successful and on and on. The truth is that everyone is doing the same thing and feeling the same thing as everyone else. We all have this. We might be in slightly different places in different areas. You know, some people the challenge is relationships, some people it's more of a challenge of health or body, some people it's more of a challenge of money or more of a challenge of showing up in front of people. It doesn't matter what it is. It's the snake voice. And when you bust through, I use the word bust through sometimes when we're talking about action. When you dissolve that snake voice, as we'll talk about, in the light of a profound spiritual truth, you make it lighter for everybody. It's cosmic work. Okay. Wanda, I'm just going to ask you one question. Is that a go-to for you? Have you said to yourself many times, maybe I don't belong here? Just wondering. Because the way we do one thing is generally the way we do everything. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, thank you, Wanda. Thank you for your honesty. Just notice that. That's the snake. Just notice what it costs you. You do belong here, but notice how many opportunities have been shut down. We all have a snake voice. It tells us certain things. Mine might tell me more like, I'm overwhelmed. I just can't. It won't work for me. Things like that. So notice, everybody, right now, what are the most common things your snake voice says to you? What are the most common things it says to you? So by the end of this session, which we better get moving faster on, we'll understand a lot more about how this works. Just before we go into the material, and thank you for this amazing sharing and for your amazing work. And let's see if we can take it 2 times or 3 times farther today, meaning let's get more clarity. Let's break down the steps into more micro. Let's have more things moving. Let's see more about our wiring. So if you want to have access to the second session, the VIP session, that's where we had a great session yesterday after the main session. You have the Zoom link. That's where you can ask questions. We're all on the video. We have a discussion. You can ask for coaching. If you want that option, then David or Shira, please type the link right here in the chat so you can do that now. We'll put it up during the break between sessions as well. It's highly recommended if you want that extra edge. And we're assuming that you're talking about here something that's important to you in your life. And even if your next edge, like Wanda's explaining, is I have a headache and I feel like I don't belong here. So what would it look like to be on the other side of that wall? I do feel like I belong. I see a new possibility. What would be one tiny step that you could take? I'm not just speaking to you, Wanda, but also to you, but to everybody. What would be one tiny step that you could take to shift that? Maybe something as simple as get myself a cup of tea and a yummy cookie and allow myself to enjoy just being here. And if I'm not ready to choose something as a goal, so I'll just enjoy being here. Maybe that would be a shift, allowing yourself to succeed under your own terms. So this is the, okay, thank you, David. You can take the slide down, link to sign up if you want to sign up for VIP. Okay, so let's go through a quick review of yesterday in case we didn't totally absorb it. Remember, I said yesterday that when it comes to these cosmic principles from the blueprint for creation, from the Torah, and from the qualities of the soul, the awakening, everything of consciousness, divine consciousness, repetition doesn't make it boring. Repetition opens it. Each repetition opens it more because we're dropping through dimensions from the surface level to a deeper level, to a deeper level, to a deeper level. And each time you do that, it's not just that you're shifting to a new room. The room is far bigger, far more beautiful, far more elaborate, far more full of resources. So that's how it works with consciousness. So let's just do a quick review from yesterday first. We'll just go through these slides very quickly, just reminding everybody of the principles that we covered. Yay, Wanda, cup of tea. And let's see if you can participate in the session in any way you want and feel great about it. Okay, so we talked about how we are living in a snow globe. We're living in a simulation, a holographic reality. This is actually true. Whether it's true technically, whether it's like I haven't figured out exactly what's going on behind the scenes, but the Torah itself, Hasidus mystical Torah, says that the world, God is everything and everywhere and every God is only. So what's this world? What's this multiverse? And the answer is it's a perception. So when God created the world, he hid the everythingness and he created a lot of conflicting somethings, each of which conceals the everything. So that is basically creates a simulation. We're living in a snow globe. We're living within the laws of nature. We think it's all there is. These trees don't have any fruit. It's winter. It's hard. But outside the snow globe, it's a whole different story. Next slide. So here we looked at the idea of of two different realities, an old field and a new field, which we'll review in a moment. The old field is called Mamali Kol Almin. We'll have that in writing, so you don't have to, if you weren't present yesterday, don't worry about it. The old field is the field of the snow globe, the laws of nature, the past. It's full of pain and struggle and smallness and limited resources. The new field is just emerging. It's the field of the future. So it's unknown, it's undefined, and basically it's infinite. Outside of the snow globe, there's infinite space. The snow globe is a closed system. Outside of the snow globe, there's infinite space. Next slide, please. Now here we have the definition of the two fields. Again, we're reviewing, and we're going to go much deeper into this very shortly. So the first field, the field of the past, is called Or HaMamali Kol Almin. It is the divine light that fills all worlds. What does that look like? That's lights in vessels. That means that if you have more money, you have more resources. That means if you work harder, or you have more luck, or you have more help, or whatever, more education, you'll be more successful. If you work harder to deserve, you'll have more blessings. If you're smarter, you're going to be able to achieve more. It's potential limited by form. It's called lights and vessels, Kabbalistically. Next, we're just covering these very briefly, first of all, because it's a review, and second of all, because each of these is very powerful concepts that could use many classes in themselves, but we can get a lot of usefulness out of this at this level. The divine light in Mamali Kol Almin is hidden within the laws of nature. The word for nature in Hebrew is teva. You don't have to remember this, it's just interesting, which comes from the word to be sunken beneath the ground, to be hidden. So nature literally is God hiding, where everything that exists is God in a costume, like the hand in the puppet. You don't see the puppeteer, you see the hand, you see the cloth, and you think it's real. That's Mamali Kol Almin. It corresponds to faith, which is a quality of the soul that is above what we see. We believe in something higher, but doesn't mean we'll see it. You're trapped inside the snow globe like a small, vulnerable human being in a sometimes, or let's say usually, hostile world. We all know that experience. And it's subject to the laws of cause and effect, which is called in Kabbalah yesh miyesh, something from something, which means that if you can't see the path forward, who here, type me, if it's you, has ever felt like this situation is not okay and I can't find a way out. I can't figure it out. Those words, I can't figure it out. So type me. Everybody should be typing me because everybody's experienced this many, many, many times. And that is called creating yesh miyesh. So the left brain, which is connected to Mamali Kol Almin, which is connected to the past, is searching constantly for answers based on the past. Lots of times the answers we need are not based on the past. So that left brain is searching harder and harder, and it hurts, and it can't find anything. And meanwhile, it's ramping up and feeling more and more desperate. That's when we're on transmit. Another piece that I want to review here. We're on transmit. We're talking. We know. We're asking questions that have limited answers, that keep us in the field of Mamali Kol Almin, that keep us in that small, slow system of the snow globe. When we go on to receive, it's a different story. Receive is listening. And that will lead us right into Sovev Kol Almin. Or HaSovev Kol Almin is the light that surrounds, encompasses, and transcends all worlds. That light is too sublime and unlimited to be contained in vessels. It's not it's not subject to the laws of nature. In Sovev Kol Almin, God's not hiding. So does it matter if you have the education or not? Does it matter if you have the connections or not? Or are you just connecting directly to God? God, you see, in the Mamali Kol Almin, it's like God, and sometimes it's like God, and then there's the world and you, and the world's big and you're little. In Sovev Kol Almin, the world's down here, and it's you and God as partners. Very different story. The one who makes the laws of nature can change the laws of nature just as easily, because they're not laws from up there. They're only laws from down here. Remember, every morphic field, as I said yesterday, has its own laws of cause and effect. So it's not subject to the laws of nature. It corresponds to bitachon, trust. Yesterday we talked about the differences. So if you did not have a chance to participate in yesterday's training, please go and re-listen. These are very, very critical foundations for what's happening in our world right now. Yesterday we set the stage energetically and in a lot of other ways. You're able to start venturing beyond the snow globe. You're a direct partner with the creator and bringing the divine vision into being, and you own that vision. Not just enacting it for somebody else, even if that somebody else is the creator, you own that vision too. Your soul's here for that. Direct quantum co-creation, something from nothing. Yeshmi ayin means something from nothing. Okay, next slide. See a lot of comments in the chat. I'll go there soon. Next slide, please, David. No, can we have the chart for a second, or it's not? Do you still have the chart? Okay, I see a lot of me's meanwhile. Yeah. So just notice, by the way, this is really important. When you feel that feeling, that so unpleasant feeling of needing to figure it out, trying to figure it out, and the harder you try, the more your brain feels like it's squishing into a P, and your whole body feels like it's constricting, and you're feeling that anxiety energy from your head to your toe and everywhere around. Notice that you're beating yourself up, because you're beating up your left brain because it doesn't have the answer that it doesn't have any way of getting. So we could maybe stop beating up our left brain. Just notice that we're doing it. When we notice we're doing things, we can have some choice. Consciousness equals choice. Okay, we also looked quickly at the chart of human design. This is a review for people who were here, by the way. This is not enough of a review for people who weren't here. I want you to remember the conversation. We're holding a thread of a conversation. I want you to absorb it more deeply. Remember, I said yesterday, when a dry sponge gets a drop of water, the water bounces off. The second drop starts to penetrate in a little more. The third drop starts to spread out. We want to saturate the brain with truth. Saturate. That takes repetition and depth. We'll talk about it today. The chart of human design we looked at, and how these two operating systems, the left side is actually like a virus. It's like an autoimmune virus. This is the snake program, and the Gullus program, the XL program. The right side of the chart is the actual divine design. They're both divine design, but the right side is meant to illuminate the left side. And the left side is actually meant to personalize and empower the right side. So your ego, I don't want to get lost here, but your ego makes you powerful. Not in real life necessarily, but your ego makes you a person. It gives you a personal perspective on life. It makes you a center of the universe. It gives you inner motivations and passion and desire that is, strong. The soul has a quiet voice. So when the program of the soul is enclosed in the operating system of the ego, of the identity, in other words, that identity is like a wild horse, the left side, the snake voice. Snake program. It's like a wild horse, like a magnificent stallion that's kicking and destroying everything. When it opens and the right side, the soul-based program, the new morphic field, the Soviv Kol-Almin level program can enclose itself inside of the left side of the identity. When your identity becomes the perspective of your soul, but with passion, but with ownership, but with excitement, but with power. All the human stuff, now you're a creator. So these are the two fields. Next slide, please. Okay, and I'm going to quickly just look at see if there's anything here that I need to respond to here. Okay. So actually, I'm sorry, David, this is not, David asked me David is creating slides as well as many, many other things. He asked me what order should the slides be in. And I'm like, do it this way. No, do it that way. Then finally, I'm like, I can't tell you how to do it because I know it's going to come out. I never know what's going to come out because we're with the flow, right? We're co-creating in real time. So if we can have the tavuna first, if that's easy. Yeah. Okay, great. So tavuna, I want to introduce this concept to you. I want you to write this down. This is tavuna. For those of you Kabbalistically inclined, this comes from the word bina. related to the word bina, which is referring to the left brain. Tavuna is technically described as the midos, or the emotions of bina. So tavuna, how does that work? So tavuna is the state of being of spiritual information, like those drops of water. All information is spiritual, it's not physical, has been so deeply absorbed into your thinking process that it has actually changed the brain. What does that look like? Brain wiring, new brain wiring. Nerves that fire together, wire together, right? We have neural pathways that are so deeply wired that it's like train tracks. Like you get a trigger, somebody says something to you that makes you feel you don't belong here. Sorry, Wanda, I think it's awesome that you shared. Just using you as a demo. Somebody makes you feel like you don't. So somebody triggers an old pattern, an old belief, an old I don't belong here, and then immediately taking no time and requiring no thought, you're down that track until like there's no place for me, or I'm making this up, whatever it is. We all have those neural pathways that are so set and fixed that the trigger immediately takes us to the end belief. Belief will be the topic of the rest of the call today, and we don't have a choice about it. We're not even conscious. To us, it's reality. Why is that? Because when tavuna, when something is so deeply wired in that it's been absorbed within the physical brain, it becomes real. The physical brain is real. The mind is not physical. The mind is the soul, powers of the soul. But everything that is from the soul, when the soul's in the body, it has to have a particular seat in the body. So the power of chachma, the wisdom of the mind turned up like a bowl to receive, is in the right brain. Bina, the power to analyze and to have opinions and so forth and to absorb, is the left brain. Das, consciousness and connection, is in the back brain, whatever the case may be. When the spiritual information, beliefs, thoughts, whatever, are so permeating the physical brain that the brain wiring changes, now your whole reality is changed. Now what you know is true is completely different. We're all downloaded with tavuna. We come from past lives. We have these things can be passed down in DNA. We're raised a certain way. We pick up things from infancy, from in the mother's womb that teach us about life. Life is scary, this loud voice, this person, this relationship, this fear, this everything. And some of it's positive, much of it is not. And we continue to download and to be programmed unconsciously till we're around, according to Dr. Bruce Lipton, something like 7 years of age, maybe a little older. And that's our automatic default self that shows up whenever we're not paying attention. If you ever wondered why, somebody said, "Why did you yell at me?" And you're like, "I didn't yell at you." That's because you weren't there when you yelled. Your default took over. And we all have that. Or maybe you were the one who got yelled at and the person who yelled at you doesn't know what you're talking about because they weren't really there. So we have this default. And that's part of what tavuna is. Tavuna is the worldview, what you absolutely know is true because that's what you see. That's what you feel. That's your reality. That's what you're able to do, what you're not able to do. So we want to change the tavuna. Tavuna, again, is when something this is the technical definition, that the physical brain has absorbed the information. But what happens then, tavuna is technically the midos of bina, again, Kabbalah. What happens again is that once you have reached that state, it automatically generates emotions. What you know, you can see on the chart, generates what you feel. What you believe generates what you feel. What you think generates what you feel. So when you have a worldview that's wired into the physical brain, we're talking about brain wiring. Do you have a picture of that, David? So when that happens, you automatically walk around with a set of emotions that are 100% real to you. 100% real. Even though somebody else might be in exactly the same situation and have different emotions. So having the correct wiring, having wiring that will allow you to upgrade your emotional experience, and having emotional experiences through visualization, etc., that will allow you to upgrade your brain wiring till you have a different tavuna, that changes not only your reality, your body, your relationships, but also what you're projecting into the universe and what you're bringing back. As we all know, our consciousness sends out signals when it's connected to strong emotions, sends out signals into the ayin, the divine potential that's unformed, the quantum potential, and pulls back in circumstances. Like I said yesterday, like we talked about yesterday, lime green cars, we are literally generating our reality. And then we feel like victims of it. So we want to change our tavuna. Okay, let's go into the beliefs about tavuna. The beliefs about the fields. Okay, just checking. So Colleen is asking, there are two quick questions. I can answer these quickly, so I will. Joy asks, isn't it also the integration of information connected to the emotions? So yes, but das is just the connection. It's your worldview. But what gets absorbed in the left brain, in the physical brain, that becomes your emotional and physical reality. They do work together, but it is the left brain that internalizes the worldview and wires it into the brain. And then you'll be connected to that in various ways. So yeah, they both play a role. Colleen asked, can I speak about the false tavuna that we're born with and how to differentiate? Well, let's look at these beliefs now, and that might help with differentiating. We're all born with mostly where the world is created with the false tavuna. We have to be able to, we have to have the truth hidden from us, or all we would, not only all we would see as God, we wouldn't even exist, because all there is God. So we are, through the left side of the chart, we are becoming real, like the Velveteen Rabbit. Through the right side of the chart, we are becoming divine. But God has to hide himself almost completely in order for us to exist at all, in order for us to play this game. So what's happening now is we played it for a long time in the old field, and we're used to it. It's wired in as tavuna. So we're going to go over some of these beliefs, and then we're going to look at some beliefs from the new field. And we're going to do an exercise, a visualization, to start to help us to rewire, to create a different tavuna. But it's a it's a process. It's a work in progress. And a lot of what happens in the programs that I teach, I do not want to forget to talk about awakening divine power. I already did forget. I was going to talk about it before. But a lot of what I do in the programs I teach, apart from, teaching and supporting and helping clarify and creating accountability and coaching and all of that, a lot of what is happening, which my old time students will testify to, is just holding an atmosphere, a space where these truths become more and more absorbed. And that automatically, beyond anything you're doing, beyond anything you're learning, the fact that you're like soaking in the atmosphere of divine consciousness from the Torah and the applied Torah, which is what we do, will change your brain. Over time, it will absolutely change your brain. Once you have a new tavuna, it doesn't go away because it's wired in. That's your truth. You can always upgrade it. It's harder to downgrade it, because to upgrade it, you have to have already been able to connect to a deeper spiritual truth, a deeper truth. So usually we don't go back from that. We go forward from that. Okay, anyway. So what are some of the beliefs? Feel free to throw out a question if you have one. I'm just looking at the time. We're all right. So some of the beliefs that go with Mamalikol Almi. Now, belief is the top line. Belief is, can we put up the chart for a second? Sorry about this, David, but if it's not hard, put up the chart for a second. This is not the chart. Just saying, in case you thought. Okay, so let's look just quickly again how this works, because a picture is worth 1,000 words. So we have at the top the superconscious. That's the soul's desire. That is why the soul is here. That's why your soul keeps coming down into your body at every instant. Keeps going back up. Hashem, God shows it. What this is. You want to connect with me. You want to be my partner. Go back down. So the soul's like, oh, okay, fine. And now it's back in amnesia again. So the top level of amnesia, the top level of the false tavuna that we are navigating, is our beliefs. Life is hard. you're not good enough, nobody will love you, you're all alone. God expects you to be perfect. We'll go through these. This is what we're going to do next. We're going to go through some of these beliefs. So these beliefs, I just want you to see this so it's really clear. These beliefs will automatically generate your thoughts. Like if someone has a core belief that I don't belong, there's no place for me, and many people do, many of us do. Nature of the beast. Then we're going to have thoughts like maybe I shouldn't show up because maybe I shouldn't try to express myself. Nobody's going to listen to me. That we all have this. We just have it in personalized ways, but they're pretty common themes. Then automatically, because tavuna is the midos of bina, the emotions of what we know, so that go with that brain wiring. So we're going to have fixed patterns of emotional reaction. And you can see what these are on the left side of the chart. There are a lot more, but basically shame, fear, sadness, anger. That's basically, the core of them. And then they have variations. And then we have behaviors that we need, to cope with this horrendous experience that human life can be on this side of the chart. Horrendous. Even when everything's okay and it's a sunny day, it can be horrendous. Who has had this experience? Say me. Somebody asked yesterday about non-circumstantial depression. Yeah. What's going on inside? So we need to comfort ourselves. Because I'll tell you another secret direct from the Torah. A person needs to have pleasure and purpose in order to, for the soul to be willing to be in the body. So if you have no purpose that gives you pleasure, or you have no pleasure, purpose can give you pleasure. But if you don't have that, if you don't feel in touch with your purpose, or you feel like your purpose is not fulfilled and you have no pleasure, you've got to get pleasure. It grounds the soul into the body. So we all have these mechanisms that give us relief or give us pleasure for a moment. Anger is one of them. Dominating someone else gives you a feeling that you exist. You've got some power. You're not helpless. You're not a loser totally. Addictions, eating, drinking, sleeping, yelling can be an addiction. Shopping can be an addiction. Working can be an addiction. Infatuation can be an addiction. Sex can be an addiction. Anything can be an addiction. We're all addicted to our habituated emotions. Withdrawing, being alone, all of these things, living in the past, result in living in the past. So what we want to do, we're going to explore some of these beliefs momentarily that have to do with this field of Gullus and Mamalik Kol Almin. And then we're going to we're going to explore beliefs from the other side. The other side is Soviv Kol Almin, and that is the soul program. And these are two different programs, but they all start with belief and end with action. Okay, back to the list of beliefs, please, David. This is the commercial break where my face shows up in the video. Okay. Yeah, 2468. Who do we appreciate? David. All right. So it's not so calm to work with me, you might imagine. Okay, so these are beliefs from the old field. We're looking at beliefs. There's something wrong. This is the core. If there's one core belief, and I'd love to hear from you guys, whatever platform you're on. I'm just going to remind you again, also, if you came on a little late, please share. If you like what you're getting, if you think it has value, share the YouTube, share a link to the Facebook group. It's private, so you can't watch it without joining the group, but you can do that. Share, we'll let you in. We'll let your friends in, or share the YouTube, or share the link to join, which is gateofunity.com/next edge. Bring your friends here in order to help elevate them and to help build the field and to help support your own shift. We are all like the 5 people we spend the most time with, right? So let's upgrade the people we spend time with, but primarily we need to upgrade ourselves. Okay, so the core belief that shuts us down, there is a core belief, and that is something's wrong. You can write that down. Something's wrong. And part of your fairy dust today is going to be to notice and actually count and report tomorrow on how many times your brain has told you between when this class is over or when you listen to the replay and when we meet again, how many times has your brain told you something's wrong? Okay, it can be something's wrong with me. That's our favorite usually. Something's wrong with you. Something's wrong with my life. Something's wrong with the world. It's pretty depressing just thinking about it, right? Because we live with this. This is our default. The brain is searching like a radar dish. What's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? So really everything else comes under this category. Should I up the fairy dust? I'm going to give you an optional bonus fairy dust that can change your life pretty quickly. Maybe you've done this with me in the past. Get some kind of bracelet. That's something that's easy to slip from one hand to the other. That's what the important thing about it. And every time your inner voice comes up with something's wrong, and it might happen really fast, like just a feeling like, the remote's broken, or I dropped that on the floor. And it might be like the government, the health, abuse. But whenever you have a thought like that, switch the bracelet to the other hand. That is very, very powerful for rewiring the brain. Okay, I'm essentially alone. The world is, sure, if you can just write down the things, the fairy dust suggestions, because I'm adding a few and I might forget, that would be great. I'll look at questions when we go through this list. The world, okay, I'm essentially alone. It's an inner feeling like at the end of the day, there's nobody for me. My very much younger cousin, when she was 4, was in the living room with her mother and her grandmother. And she was playing on the floor, and she looked up and she said to them, "I'm all alone." 4 years old. And they hastened to say to her, "You're not alone, honey, we're right here." And she's like, no, here, I'm all alone here. So powerful. That's the core experience of Malikul Amin. And that is a direct result of God hiding. Imagine how much cosmic force it takes for all that is to look like it's not. So you're being held into existence by this cosmic force every moment of every day. Okay, so I'm essentially alone. The world is solid and impossible to change. My body is solid and hard to change. I have to earn my right to live in this world. It's supposed to be a different one. Sorry, that's my fault. I have to earn my right to live in this world as a separate belief. So that's something that I've been experiencing lately as a false belief. I didn't realize until probably, 6, 7, 8 weeks ago. Honestly, I told you yesterday, I'm morphing in real time, and it's deep, it's profound. So I did not realize how I feel like I'm pretty mentally adjusted and I have a good relationship with God. I didn't used to. I love God now. I used to feel like he was the enemy, or the mean boss, or, whatever it is, boss I had to placate. But I realized all of a sudden that I was still carrying an unconscious, by unconscious, I mean an all-pervasive, unquestioned feeling that I had to continuously earn my right to be in this world. By doing things, by changing things, by working hard, by changing myself, by judging myself. And it occurred to me at that time that that's not true. Not true anymore. It was holy for a long, long time to feel that way because it was motivating. But now that's an old belief that needs to change. So we'll talk in a moment about how. But check out if you have that belief and what that feels like to never be good enough, to never be doing enough, to always feel guilty, even if it's in the background, even if you're not paying attention, even if you're eating, drinking, or making merry. But just to have that intrinsic feeling of I'm not enough, I'm not the way I'm supposed to be, and I'm not empowered. And if I'm not good enough, then how's life going to work out for me? And I have to try harder, and I have to work harder, and I have to be better. We are like hamsters on a wheel with an overseer cracking the whip on our backs every day. Enough. Time to change. God is always judging me, and I'm always falling short. I'm here to be a good person and avoid doing something wrong. So these are a little bit different. I'm here to be a good person and avoid doing something wrong is, what are we supposed to aspire to in this world? So in the old field, I was supposed to aspire to be a good person and avoid doing something wrong. This was the holy plan, really, according to the Torah, according to most all religions. Be a good person, avoid doing something wrong. Can't always avoid doing something wrong, so you're never good enough, but just keep trying. That's the thing to aspire to. It's going to be different. When we get to the next slide, you'll see it's a completely different thing. And then we're going to be doing some closed eyes exercise on shifting these things. Very powerful, experiential. Wanting things makes me selfish. Shouldn't want things. If everybody doesn't have things, if I have more than somebody else, how could I want something even more? Count your blessings. Not that, don't get me wrong, it's great to count your blessings. It's extremely powerful. But if it means count your blessings and feel selfish if you want something more, old field. It's bad to make mistakes. These are supposed to be 2 also. I gave this to David in the wrong format and he lost the line spacing. It's bad to make mistakes. I have to do things perfectly. I have to do things perfectly. How many people here, say me, feel like you have to do things perfectly, like it's bad to make a mistake? And just notice, say me, and notice what the cost is and share that if you're aware of the cost. Thank you, Angela, Naomi. The more you share, the better. So what is the cost of knowing that you have to do things perfectly and thinking that believing that it's bad to make a mistake? What does that do to your willingness to actually create or step out? We just want to notice, because why? Everybody together, consciousness equals choice. Okay, results are up to me and I don't have what it takes. There's a catch-22 right there. I have to, related to beating up the left brain, I have to change this. It's not acceptable. And I'm racking my brain, literally racking it, pulling it on the rack, and I can't, it's not coming up with an answer that it doesn't have. And I'm so angry and I feel so horrible and what's wrong with me? And I'm trapped in it. I have to fix this and I can't, and I have to fix it and I can't, I have to, it gets worse and worse. That's the utter definition of a vicious circle. Okay. Don't worry, we're going to be looking at the opposite, and then we can talk about them if you want. The past equals the future, depending on time. The past equals the future because A in the past, that means A in the future. And we all live like this is a law because A in the past, A in the future. Tony Robbins was the first person I ever heard say, like 35 years ago, that the past doesn't equal the future. But it does if you don't bring consciousness. It does if you don't change your tavuna. If you don't change your tavuna, the past equals the future. My flaws and deficiencies mean that I can't, and this is for you to fill in the blank. So fill in the blank and share. YouTube, Facebook, Zoom, VIPs, share. My flaws and deficiencies mean that I can't. What is it that you can't? I want to see this in writing. What is it that you can't? My flaws and deficiencies mean I can't blank. Lead anyone to healing. Good, Audrey. Who else? Be loved. Good, Angela. My flaws and deficiencies mean I can't have a lot of enjoyment, ever be enough. Keep them coming. These are really important. Juggle all the balls. Be happy. Be enough. Create a business. Make it without a man. Yep. Achieve the success I want. Okay, keep these coming because this is where you're living. This is where we're all living. My flaws and deficiencies mean that I can't, and that's the end of the story. We're living like slaves, and we don't even realize it. We think it's the way it is. No, it's the way it was. Time to change it. If I was meant to do it, I would feel different than I do. Now that's a little bit different because it ends up with the same result, but we feel that we believe that if I were meant to start this business, if I were meant to lead people to healing, if I were meant to be independent and strong and thriving, then I would feel calm. I'd feel confident. I'd know how to do it. That's us standing at the edge of the rock, looking at the next rock with sadness, wistfulness, wishing, hoping, but, best case, maybe someday. Because if I were able to get across to the next rock, I would feel clear. I'd feel strong. I'd feel enthusiastic. I'd feel confident. No, you wouldn't, because your feelings are coming from your past. The feelings go with the tavuna that you already have. Like I describe it sometimes, when we're going between these rocks, when we're going between one edge and the next edge, we're standing in the gap. We don't know. And that feels like something's wrong. Because we have a false belief that if I were meant to get across the gap, I would already know how. Nope. Nope. Let me tell you something else. We're cheating and going into the new beliefs. But when you are feeling fear, when you're looking at the next edge and you're feeling fear, you're already in the front car of the train, like I like to say about our soul tribe, because you're looking at the next rock and you're noticing something that you want and where you're being stopped. And that's a sign of leadership. So it's dangerous to want things. It's dangerous to succeed. It's dangerous to change. Notice which ones of these apply to you. It's dangerous not to know. It's dangerous to fail. It's a lot of dangerous. You can't have, life is dangerous. You can't have everything. Like there are a lot of people who believe, and this has even been in certain places in the Torah, which it has changed, that you can't have success in every area. You have to choose. Like a zero-sum game. We're in the snow globe. There's not enough to go around. So I'll trade you this for this. Nope. That's it. That's Mamali Kol Almin. That's not Soviet Kol Almin. I can't trust myself, and there's supposed to be a line shift here. I can't trust myself is one. The next one is it's not fair to prosper if not everybody is prospering. Like, oh, I can't complain. I have it better than other people, so I shouldn't want anything. But I can't trust myself is a huge thing. I can't trust myself. I have to depend on others. I have to get confirmation. I might not succeed. I'll probably fail. I'm not good. I can't want anything because maybe it's not coming from a good place, like that. Spiritual and physical success conflict. Spiritual and physical success conflict. If you're spiritual, you should not be, money is a problem. People have said this to me, not much anymore, but it's happened at least once this past year or two. It's not that often anymore. That you're supposed to be a spiritual teacher. How can you charge for anything? Like the old field is that spiritual people have to abhor or abjure, that's the right word, money, wealth, and people that have wealth and abundance can't be spiritual. And like pigs rolling in the mud. That is an old belief. Being wealthy is not spiritual, ditto. God is up there and we are down here. That's like God is outside of me. God is like the sun shining and I'm like receiving it from down here. We're separate. Fear is a red light that something is unsafe and I shouldn't go there. History repeats itself. How many times have we heard that? History repeats. It's never going to change. History repeats. When we can believe that when it comes to our own history or when it comes to global history, whatever it is. And then last but not least, I am here to be a good servant. I'm here to be a good servant. I'm here to serve God, other people. I'm here to be a good servant. Okay, so I'm going to look at the chat really quickly. See what's here. Love the engagement. Oh, there's a lot. I want to do this quickly because we have a lot to cover. Okay, we'll get to the beliefs in the new field. You can put the beliefs in the new field up now, Devin, give people some relief. I'm just scrolling through. And why, I know people are like asking to change. Okay, we've changed now, but I just want to tell you, you don't have to be afraid of looking at the old beliefs. That's an old belief. It really is. I'll explain why. Because part of the old field is I am not okay the way I am. Think about all these flaws that are keeping me from being okay, that are keeping me from doing what I have to do, that are making me, not worthy of thriving in the world, etc. So that is part of the old field, that we are fatally flawed and something's wrong. We just covered that. And what is the human response to that? Don't look at it. Don't focus on it. Don't think about it. Suppress it. Overcome it. Prove it's not so. Get therapy for it. Blame other people for it. And the list goes on. That's the old field. And I'll just give you a heads up that in the new field, every part of us, including those feelings that we have, are part of our purpose, have a divine, unbelievable root that when we shift them over, they are the source of our greatest power. So we want to be bottom line, and all energy healing includes this. And in the VIP today, we'll do a special exercise with this, actually. At least that's my plan right now. That by bringing up the energy associated with these things that we have always felt so bad about, that we must hide, suppress, judge, blame, project, deny, overcome, prove, fight against that those are intrinsically good, not necessarily in the current form, but there are powerful, simple ways to transmute them. And when we do, they become our greatest source of wisdom and power. And just to give you a little bit of, again, Torah Kabbalistic backing on that, the primordial snake from which all of these things come, including, Adam and Eve were hiding and they were shamed because they were naked. We're ashamed of our stuff. We want to hide it. We don't want to look at it. It makes us feel terrible. What if you knew that it was your greatest asset, that it's the raw material for your ultimate divine consciousness and power? That would be different. So the snake, who started all of this, was the personification, the container for all potential evil. It was just potential. When Adam and Eve ate from the tree of knowledge, it became internalized and actualized in the human psyche. And that's what we're dealing with all this time. Quantum suffering, really. But in the Torah, there are many codes that give people who understand them the ability to illuminate deeper and deeper levels of what the words mean. And the simplest of the codes is gematria, which is the numerical equivalent. Every Hebrew letter that makes up a Hebrew word has a number associated with it. When you add up the numbers, that's the gematria. So the word for snake in Hebrew is nachash, and it has the gematria, the same exact numerical equivalent of another word, which is Mashiach, which is the Redeemer, the one soul of which we are all a part, the central soul that is literally channeled between God and creation. So that's the energy of the snake. That's the potential of the snake. Just like creation, like God hides all the light in order to allow us to exist. Now it's dark. It's awful. But slowly, we bring back the light so that we can exist and shine. And it's beyond shining, like we'll talk about in a minute. So also the snake created a tremendous fall in human experience and consciousness that led to every drop of pain, shame, suffering that ever has occurred and that is still occurring now. But the ultimate essence of the snake is transformation and redemption. And I really want you to absorb that. I really want you to absorb that. I'm just reading through what you're saying here. So what these are keeping you from. This is great. This is great sharing. Okay, so let's look at the beliefs from the new field. I'm going to want to look at the chat afterwards, David, so please make sure to save it for me because this is really good stuff. Okay, so here are some beliefs from the new field. And as I said, we'll go over these. If there's a little discussion, then we can discuss in the chat, and then we're going to do an actual experiential exercise. Everything is infinite. Remember the snow globe, closed system, zero-sum game, there's not enough. But in the new field, everything is infinite. There's infinite potential. Everyone could be a millionaire. How about that? Everyone could thrive. Who would do the work? AI, miracles, I don't know. Everything is God. The world is not solid, it's fluid. So think about, for a moment, I want you to do a little exercise here. Hold your hands up in front of your face, look at your palms, and speak to your palms and say, you are light. You are alive. Or you are life, whatever resonates more. You are divine. You are infinite. And do it again. You are light. You are life. You are divine. You can say you are God if you want to, because everything's God. You are infinite. You are light. You are life. You are God. You are infinite. And just notice what happens to your body when you talk to your hands that way. And if you feel anything different. Yesterday, we did a little bit, at least I talked about it, how you can close your eyes now if you want. Just feel this. Again, the ambient air moving across the skin of your face. Does it feel cool? Can you feel it moving where maybe you weren't noticing it moving before? It's always moving. And how your face is feeling, your skin is feeling that. It's not really your skin. It's your nerves, but it's not really your nerves. It's the impulses that your nerves are sending to your brain, but it's not really your brain. It's really rapidly moving particles called atoms that are not really particles because they're made up of protons, neutrons, electrons, which are not really also particles, because if you go deeper into them, they're made up of energy. So what are you? You are light. You are life. You are divine and you are infinite. Therefore, you're fluid. So with that belief, it's a lot easier to shift. It's a lot easier to be happy too and appreciate yourself. You're supernatural. Your body's supernatural. Everything about you is supernatural. Everything is divine providence, meaning that nothing happens without, this is a principle of Hasidus, of mystical Torah, that nothing happens from Baal Shem Tov without God directly making it happen. And whether, as part of the program or as part of the freedom that he gave, but nothing happens. Nothing happens except by divine providence, even a leaf falling from a tree, and even how many times it spins before it hits the ground. And how do we know? What's an easy way to know that's true? The next belief, which is nothing solid. Everything is always moving and everything's being recreated at every instant. The mystical Torah says that the world is constantly faster than the speed of thought, going back into nothingness. It's created from divine nothingness, ayin, and it becomes a something. And at the very same moment, it goes back into nothing. And then it becomes something again, back into nothing, something again. Kind of like when a fan, movie, like the old movie, the film where there's a lot of, or cartoons, there were a lot of different pictures, and then they would just be moved so fast that it looked like it was one thing, or like a fan, when a fan spins fast, all of a sudden you can't see the blades. It's just like one solid thing. Can't see the space between the blades. So that's what life is. That's what creation is. You can't see the spaces in between unless you train yourself to slow down. And then you can start to feel the space in between a lot more. But we want to know as a belief that everything is constantly being recreated at every instant. So everything is always new. It does get created with the same memories and kind of at the same place where it stopped, unless all of a sudden there's a miracle, or unless you start to practice creating yesh mi'ayin, something from nothing, like lime green cars, which will be our one of our fairy dust. We have the bracelet, we have the lime green cars, and we have the next steps for tonight. Anyway, we want to practice the awareness that everything is being recreated at every moment. And if that is not the case, how could things show up really differently all of a sudden because we believe differently? How could consciousness create if everything isn't constantly being created at every second from nothing, if it's not all fluid and moving? Nobody can, with their consciousness, move a giant planet if it's actually made out of heavy stone. But if it's made out of energy and divinity, then so are we. So what's the problem? I'm being recreated at every instant. My soul is coming into my body because it desires God. This is another thing. My soul is coming into your body. This is very important. More important for people who are my students or will become my students, because I'm going to, when in any of my programs, we are continuously emphasizing that what you truly desire is one of the major cores of your purpose. Why is that? Because your soul is coming into your body because it is wanting something. It desires something. It desires something. And that thing that it desires is God, but it's a particular form of God, like God is truth, or God is love, or God as expansion, or God as wealth, or God as beauty. The things that you truly desire in your essence. You desire those because your soul desires those, and your soul desires those because it's your soul's purpose, and it's based on that desire that your soul keeps coming into your body. So own it. The old field, what I want is bad, selfish to want. The new field, this is why you're here. It doesn't mean that pizza is your purpose, although I suppose it could be part of it, but what is the experience that you have when you eat the pizza? Maybe it's a feeling of deep pleasure and relaxation. That can be a very holy desire. Who would like a world where we can relax and rest and experience pleasure? Even if it's not pizza. You know who would like that? Say me if you'd like that, but God would like that. That's why the world of redemption is a world of pleasure, whereas Maimonides says, Kol madanim ka'afar tihiyu, all delicacies will be like dust, meaning they'll be so abundant that there will be nothing lacking for anyone, no poverty, no hunger, no jealousy, no competition, wondrousness, no death. We won't have to work. Everything will be magnificently available. We'll feel pleasure more than we do now, physically, but also it will be like dust for another reason, and that is because the pleasure of the consciousness and the growth and the inner experience and the connection, the union between people and people in themselves, people and the creator, all of that will be so much more pleasurable and enticing that, eating a piece of pizza, okay, maybe, but compared to this, so it's just going to be good and better and better. Anyway, God loves me and wants me to grow and thrive. Now, this might be something that people would say, but as I realized not too long ago, it's easier said than felt. So God loves you unconditionally. Now, did your life reflect that? Probably not. In a lot of ways, did your past lives reflect that? Probably not. Does the world reflect that? No, God is still hidden. But now, remember, that's the nature of creation. Now, what's possible and what God is begging from us is, find me, reveal me, including my love for you. This is the new field. God loves me and wants me to grow and thrive. Now, is it wired in as tavuna? Not yet. That's what we're doing. We're making the shift. We're in between. I'm here to co-create and transform myself and my world. So anything that is something I might have considered a flaw previously, or maybe I still consider it a flaw, I got to love it, because you can't love what you reject. You can't transform what you reject. I have to own it. You can't transform what you're hiding from. And then I have to understand that it is the raw material for my divinity. And then I can start to have some fun playing that game. I'm here to co-create. I'm here to transform. And since that's the case, it's okay to make mistakes. If it's not okay to make mistakes, we just already talked about that. You guys shared about that. What is it that happens when it's not okay to make mistakes? Nothing happens. We're here to make something happen. So God knows, and now you need to know that it is okay to make mistakes. You can't avoid making mistakes. Anybody who is creating something from nothing is going to make mistakes. It's going to be trial and error. Where's the line? I'm not sure. Did I step over it? Okay. What did I learn? What do I want? What's my next step forward? We don't go backwards into regret. We go forward into growth and transformation. Very different. Making mistakes is a necessary part of creating something new. So I have to do things imperfectly. We already discussed. I can be trusted. So what does this mean? So my belief here is that my awareness is that new powers are available in the world, not just technical powers, technological powers, hidden powers, but also perceptual powers, intuitive powers, energy powers, manifestation powers. Why is that? Why are these powers powered? The idea of being wealthy. Why was this stuff not available before and now it is? Because we have evolved enough collectively that the more sensitive among us can be trusted to use powers, yes, imperfectly, yes, making mistakes, but also with good intention to grow, to get better, not because you have to earn your keep, you have to earn your right to live here, but because that's what you're here for. You're here to get better. You're here to transform and co-create. So for that to happen, you've got to be trusted, and you are trusted with special powers. Your partner with God. I'm a hologram. So that's related to not solid, and that's related to everything that I shift in myself shifts the world. I am the observer, and a lot. See, these two are supposed to be together. Sorry, next time I'll try to do it in a different medium, David. I created these lists and then I sent them to David in WhatsApp, and all the lines got mixed up, which I've done before several times. I'm the observer and the aligner and co-creator. That's my job. But the thought, speech, and action part is up to me. Those are the garments of the soul. The results are not up to me. What if the results aren't up to you? Number one. What would that open for you if the results weren't up to you? But I'd like to see you guys share. What would open if the results aren't up to you? Or what relief would you have? What experience would happen if the results weren't up to you? If you didn't have to worry about forcing things to happen, let's put it that way. What would shift? Freedom. Not 2 freedoms in a row. What else? Please share with me from other platforms. What else would shift for you? What would shift for you? Freedom, 3 freedoms. Greater creativity, relax me. But I would cry because I didn't see that. I'm not seeing the whole, I'm not seeing the whole chat. Maybe I'll go into that and see what you're writing. Pressure off, being in the now. I would cry because I don't have control. Well, here's the thing. You don't have control, prophecy, but you have influence, which is why I call my main program Influencers. We have a massive amount of influence. So this is only half the equation. What will we feel if we know the results aren't up to us? But here's the other piece of it. The thought, speech, and action, how you observe and what you do to align with the future that you are observing, with what is emerging and how you're observing that is up to you. So what does that mean? So what if we generally think that the results are up to us and the thought, speech, and action we can't control? Think about that. Talk about a formula for powerlessness. And we all have this experience. The results are up to me, but I don't have what it takes. I can't control it through thought, speech, or action. Wow. Human experience, though. When we reverse that and we find a deeper truth here, the thought, speech, and action is up to me. So it's my job to observe and align. But the good news is I can do it imperfectly. I have to do it imperfectly. I'm trusted to figure it out over time, to learn, to have the good intention, and to make mistakes. All goes together. But generally, the path of thought, speech, and action, and observing in newer and deeper and better ways, ongoingly improving in that way, is my part. And the results are God's part. There's such a cool saying that I'll just quote here, that you have to know the difference between what's your job or what's your business, what's someone else's business, and what's God's business. And we mix those things up. Like when you plant a seed, that's your job. Making it grow, that's God's job. Planting a seed in someone else's backyard, that's somebody else's job. Like that. Okay, nothing exists. This is one of the most important here, though, to untangle the misunderstanding that we all walk around with about which part is my job and which part is God's job. That's where our maximum co-creative power is, how we observe things, what we think, what we say, and what we do, and letting go of the results. It's not easy. Maybe it is easy. Maybe that's the old field. I've experienced it as not easy in the past, but I think I'm going to experience it as easy in the future. I'll observe it that way. Nothing exists separate from consciousness. So there is no solid world. Yesterday, I said my dad, the physicist, used to tell me, Shifra, there's the world and it's solid, and then there's you. Don't do this like think positive energy healing thing. There's reality, but that is not the case. The case is that in the new field, those laws in effect, nothing exists separate from consciousness. Our consciousness co-creates. Our consciousness is bringing reality into being right now. Of course, when it doesn't look like the way we want it to look, we have to understand that we're bringing it into being through our default. Our default, remember, gets programmed into us when we're very small and is usually made up of all the things we're doing wrong. It's the old field. So when we look around and see our lives, we have to know that we have co-created the life that we have so far, and we're going to have to make some real shifts in order to start to change that trajectory. All fields have a gravity, so gravity is still pulling us toward the old field. So it takes some effort to cut that gravity, to escape that gravity, like I said yesterday, and start to connect ourselves to a new field. The future is pulling me forward regardless of what I do. We are all changing. We're on a train and the train's going somewhere and nobody's going to stop that. Nothing can stop that. where we are in the train, how we feel while we're in the train, whether we're in the front car and throwing some wood in that furnace, making it go faster, or whether we're in the front car and we're derailing the train and making it and requiring it to need some repairs. We have influence there. But the future is pulling me forward, regardless of what I do. Nobody's going to be left behind at the end of the day. My flaws and challenges are a core part of my purpose, potential, and power. We said that. Spiritual people are meant to become wealthy. And that's one that I know. I mean, there are many sources from the Rebbe on this, but we're meant to become wealthy. We have to do, as the Rebbe said, everything in our power to become wealthy. Spiritually, yes, but also physically in silver and gold. Just throwing it out there. And then the Rebbe said, actually, you already are wealthy. And if you don't see that wealth, it's because you're being called upon to reveal it through your transformational work. And as you do it, will be even more than it would have been had you not had to do that work. Wealth can be holy. As I liberate and free myself, I'm transforming darkness to light and opening a new portal for all humans. So we touched on this. Ein od milvado, there's nothing here but God. And rather than I am here to be a good servant, which was the final belief of this list, there are more beliefs here. These are just the ones that I've come up with that seem like the most core, but I'm sure I've missed some. But in the old field, I'm here to be a good servant. That's what I strive for. So that means a nullification of the self. When you're a servant, not thinking about you, the work you do isn't for you, it's for someone else. Your personal life shouldn't get in the way. Don't want too much. You're not in charge. In the new field, I am here to be a co-creative partner. And that's a whole different game. Okay, so discussion. What do you guys think about this? Let's see in the chat. These new beliefs are very connected to bitachon. 100%. Bitachon goes with the new field. Emunah goes with the old field. Okay. Able to co-create freely. Freedom, take more risks, thoughts, speech, and action, my job. If you're a spiritual person, would give it to good causes for sure, or a spiritual person would do good things with it. The ultimate, it's temporary that spiritual and physical are separate and in conflict with each other. Ultimately, everything is God. So spiritual and physical are meant to enhance each other, so that the more spiritual you are, the more money and resources you should be given. And that's actually becoming more and more the case. And then you're going to make more spirituality, more godliness out of those physical things. And then you're going to get more resources and you're going to feel more expansive, more. Ultimately, in redemption, there isn't going to be a struggle to survive. So we're in the transition place where we can lean into our purpose more and more, and that struggle to survive can change into a path into thriving. And the fact that we're thriving is not only going to be good for us, it's going to be good for everybody. But it's not only going to be good for everybody else, it's going to be good for us. And that's another thing. Self-sacrifice. I just want to make it clear, I'm not advocating hedonism or like the crude kind of selfishness. I just have to say that for the record. But at the same time, I do believe, and I am taking the stance here. And if I'm making a mistake, that's okay. No, I don't think I'm making a mistake, but I'm just saying, I live with this. Like, you cannot explore new realities and give them a chance to verify or to correct if you're not willing to step out. And I've been stepping out for decades now, and it's been pretty good, thank God. So when you are intrinsically selfish, and therefore you have to suppress that and just be a servant, or else you wreak havoc on the world and you're destructive instead of purposeful. So then you've got to suppress yourself, and then you've got to mistrust yourself, and then you've got to be selfless, because if you're selfish, it's going to be bad. What the transition that we're making now is that everything is merging back into oneness. So how do I say this? I want to say it clearly. It's subtle. So now your selfishness, because you are intrinsically want good for others, the more good you have yourself, the more you're going to trend toward creating good for others. It's like, like the saying in Hebrew, that you have to love someone else like you love yourself. What if you don't love yourself? Who here loves themselves? Like, really? I mean, maybe some of us are starting to love ourselves, but it's not easy to love yourself. So that if you take that literally, that means you can't love anyone. That can't be the case. So we are growing as individuals, we're fulfilling as individuals, we're unifying within ourselves, all parts of ourselves in a state of love and divine love and self-love, an abundance of trust, an abundance of receiving, an abundance of allowing, an abundance of transforming, an abundance of accepting, an abundance of forgiving. And in doing that, we're transforming the very nature of the vessels that we are expressing through, and automatically it changes for other people, and automatically it enhances our ability to do great things to support other people also. It's like being homeopathic drops in humanity. A homeopathic drop is a homeopathic remedy, has to be of a vibration that matches the symptoms that the person has, but in its powerful, healthy form is very balanced and harmonious. So it kind of matches the vibration that of an illness or a global condition, and then it pulls the person, the system, vibrationally closer and closer to harmony. That's what each of us is here to do, but you can't do it if you don't have harmony, and you can't have harmony if you can't love yourself fully. You can't have harmony if you don't think all parts of you have a divine purpose and can be magnificent and can be used for the good. Okay? You cannot love yourself if you think that abundance is bad and therefore you should not have. And if you can't, you have to love other people like you love yourself. You gotta love yourself. Okay, can I explain what it means what it means to be a hologram? So hologram, there are different definitions of there are different ways that I'm using the word. Hologram, meaning that you're not solid. A hologram is a complex multi-angle projection of light that makes things look real that aren't there. Holographic technology, I think it's probably extremely progressed, much more than we know, but I've seen videos showing how, the CEO of a company will be beamed into a room and he'll walk around and look like a person, but it's just light. He's actually in another country. So that's a hologram. So one of the ways I'm using it is that the body is not real. Nothing's real in the sense that we think it's solid and immovable. It's all energy. And we know that, but you can start to feel it. If you notice how your body's sensing, if you bring gratitude into your body, if you bring deep listening, being on receive into your body, you'll start to notice, at least eventually, that your body is not solid, that it's supernatural and wondrous. The other way that I'm using the word is a holographic universe means that every piece, and this has to do with technology also, but that every piece of every dot has all parts in it. Like they say that the cells have everything in them. Every cell contains every other cell. So using that principle, every person contains, and the Torah says this also, every person contains the entire universe in them. Every person is an olam maleh, a whole world. So we all find everything inside of us that we could find outside of us. In fact, if you want to do an exercise in experiencing infinity, there's a lot more. You could go deeper and deeper into presence within your body. Eventually, you will find absolute nothingness inside of you. Nothingness doesn't mean emptiness. Nothingness means divine potential that hasn't taken form. I am. Like there's videos. I'm sure you could Google. I don't know what you would Google, but there are videos that show like the camera going out into the cosmos. So, it starts like in the room and then it goes up and you're looking at the roof of the house, then you're looking at the city, then you're looking at the planet, then you're looking at the galaxy, then you keep going out into more and more infinity, more space. But then the camera zooms back in and it goes down back into the room, and then it goes into your hand, and then it goes into the cell, and then it goes into the molecule, then it goes into the atom, then it goes into the subatomic particles, then it goes into the empty space. So there's just as much infinity in you, and I would say more, if you could say such a thing, than there is outside of you. Real thing. But it takes, a shift in the brain to actually start to experience it. Okay. Yeah, I'm getting messages that once again extending the time. Okay, so let's do our exercise. Let's let me get housekeeping out of the way first, and then we'll go into our experiential exercise, which I will try to keep to 20 minutes or less, and then we'll end this main session, and we'll take a short break and go into VIP. If during that break, if you would like to upgrade to VIP, you're welcome to join the follow-up sessions, which are basically Q&A coaching, much more personal and intimate. You get to connect with your soul tribe. Yesterday, people connected with each other, exchanged information, created buddy groups. Very beautiful, very helpful, very powerful. And you get the downloads. So if you want to do that, you're free to do that now, or you can do that during the break. We'll put up the link again. Second, I want to just remind you of the fairy dust, because I'll probably forget at the end. I always forget everything after I go into meditations. So the bracelet, changing whenever you have the thought that something's wrong, and counting. Okay. Your 1, 2, or 3 next steps. If you already did, like Aviva did 3, maybe some others of you did those. What's the next? Stand looking at the next rock and look at what the future, and bring it back towards you, and what is the next plank in that bridge. And remember the power of the micro breakthrough. So let's make some more commitments. Let's change the belief that things have to take time, which also comes from the belief that change is dangerous. Okay. So if change is dangerous, we want to not so fast. Let me think about it. Right. So just check that out and see if maybe change could be safe. And anyway, even if too much change, if you're not ready to have it be safe, what's one action that you could take, micro breakthrough, just move you forward a little bit, or 2 or 3. And then the third exercise is to notice synchronicities. So please write this down, to notice any synchronicities. You're thinking about something, it happens. And then the bonus version of that is look for lime green cars. If you already see a lot of lime green cars, choose something else to look for. It can be a different color car, hot pink cars. I saw one today. Or it can be anything, but something that you don't commonly see a lot of, and start looking for it. And notice, it might take you, maybe it won't, maybe it'll take you a minute to see your first one. Maybe you can, warm it up like I described yesterday in the class, how I used to do that, or maybe it will take you a couple of days. It doesn't matter. The point is that you're looking for proof beyond synchronicity. You're demonstrating for yourself the proof that the world is being recreated for you at every instant. Literally. It's crazy. I mean, it's crazy amazing. So that, and also you will learn how to hold your vibration in order to maximize your ability to manifest. It's a lot easier when you don't care, like we discussed yesterday, but we want to practice more and get better and better. Okay. All right. So I'm not going to be able to answer any more questions on the chat because we're already way over time. Or maybe that's a false belief and we're actually right in the right time, but I don't want to make it too long because we do have the next session coming up. So, and we have the visualization. So I won't be able to answer any more questions on this chat. Questions, if you're a VIP, please repeat the questions when we get into that session, because this chat I won't be looking at it. Or you could repost then. All right, even though VIPs will just stay on the Zoom. Okay, so let's do this exercise. Oh, sorry, one more thing. I'll have to move this to tomorrow, but I want you to know that I want to just emphasize that so everybody's aware that transformation takes time, and it's an in and out process as you come up with new beliefs, deeper, profound truths, like we'll be doing in the exercise, and you start to apply them to your life. There's a gravity to the old, and you're establishing a new gravity toward new movement toward the new. You're standing in the gap. There's fear, there's uncertainty, all those things. And over time, we go in a back and forth process where we get triggered, we go down a path, we get off that path, we switch to a new track, then we get derailed again, we strengthen the new track. It's a whole complicated process, complex process, not complicated, complex process that involves time and involves learning within your real life and practice and building. And you can build, and then you can build more, then you can build more, then you can build more. It's for that reason that I opened the Influencers program, Soul Infused Influencers, which is a year-long coaching program. Very high touch, meaning I'm very involved, I'm very present, I'm very available, online, in the classes, in the WhatsApps. It's a high touch program right now. It's a fairly intimate program. And that's a year-long program, which is the premier inner circle, because not everybody's ready to take that leap. If you are ready to take that leap, or if you want to know more about taking that leap, please reach out to shira.concierge@gmail.com. Shira, post your email and just set up a talk with her. And she'll believe me, she'll let you know if it's not right for you. She does not mince words. And I want to support anybody who's drawn to the program, for whom I think I can help facilitate real, lasting, important shifts and changes. So what would your life look like if you could work with me for a year? And would that be something that you would like? And if so, set up a talk with Shira. The other option, which is a new option, which I am just creating, is the Awakening Divine Power Program. And you can check that out. And I'm offering a savings for that. It's a 4-month program rather than a year program. It is included in Influencers. I actually decided to create it for influencers because we're doing a lot of coaching and mentoring and interactive discovery and whatever. And I wanted to create a structured transformational process where no pieces get left behind and where everything builds on itself, and where there are handouts and exercises, et cetera, in a really structured, clear way. So that's going to be Awakening Divine Power. And I've decided to open it up to other people who aren't in Influencers. So if you are interested in that, first of all, you can check it out, some description of it, at awakeningdivinepower.com, just like you would spell it, awakeningdivinepower.com. If you set up a conversation with Shira and you don't know if this or that, then she'll be happy to discuss with you how it works, assess with you what your needs are, what your resources are, and help you make a decision that's going to work for you. And that's what I want to say about that. And her email is here. Don't hesitate to reach out. And if you are hesitating to reach out, let me just put it this way. And then we'll go into the visualization. If you're hesitating to reach out, ask yourself if this is the way you do things and what the fear is. If you are intrigued, if you're pulled, if you're resonating at all. I'm assuming that you are, or you wouldn't be here. But if you are, or maybe some people are like, no, I'm good, I don't want to, I'm fine. And that may be true, that's great. But if you're resonating, if you want more than you have right now, if you see another rock in front of you, if you would love to have the support and the clarity and the purpose and the guidance and the amazing community and, the ability to unfold over time, like things do in the world, babies and kittens and beautiful things and trees, things take time. So, especially as you go in through your life. So then notice what you're afraid of, write it down, and step out anyway and set up a call with Shira. And she'll be there sitting on your side of the table with you, looking at, what's right for you. So that said, close your eyes. And put yourself on receive. How do you do that? You can start by listening to feeling your breathing. Noticing how your breath moves through your body, what it feels like. Notice where it seems to go and where it seems not to go. You can tune in to the feelings that your skin is experiencing, that air moving, the temperature. Maybe touch your cheeks What does it feel like? Notice how your body is listening all the time. And just allow your awareness to drop in deeper. You're alive. What does it mean that you're alive? You're constantly moving in and out of shape and form. Your soul is leaping back into its divine source, merging into oneness right now and now and now and now and now, and every nano instant in between. Merging back into source, but faster than the speed of thought, faster than the speed of light, faster than the speed of anything. God is reminding, embracing your soul. This is happening trillions of times as I'm talking between one sentence and the next. God is embracing your soul and saying, my beloved, here you can bask in my light. Through the body, you can be my partner in an intimate, passionate love affair with me, as together we build an incredible, magical, supernatural, miraculous, wondrous, joy-filled, magnificent, stunningly beautiful, fully alive and free, colorful, vibrant, filled with life, infinitely expanding and expressing and sharing and creating world. And the soul says, I'm in, and it leaps back into the body. And that's why the body, it's happening so fast, your body doesn't disintegrate while your soul keeps coming back into it. Although maybe it's slowing down from the old field, but we can change that. So just be aware that you are actually eternal, because your soul is eternal, and every time it comes back in, it's recreating you. It's keeping you together in a form that's actually not solid, but is actually sensory and responsive and a hologram. And so far, it's been held to one place, more or less, and you have to actually go through cause and effect, taking steps to get to another place, or getting in a car, or getting on a plane. But remember, I told you yesterday the story about the two holy tzaddikim, the whole two holy sages. One is the Alter Rebbe, whose anniversary of his passing is today. Very holy day. Soul is elevated and brings down far more blessings and salvations to the world today than have ever been present before. So remember, they were at a crowded wedding, and the other sage said to the Alter Rebbe, we can't walk out, let's go through the wall. And the Alter Rebbe said, the time hasn't come for that yet. So what does that mean? That means that in essence, we are not solid, and neither is the wall. And while I don't personally feel yet slow enough or fast enough or whatever it takes, or wise enough to actually walk through a wall, but that doesn't mean that I don't know it's coming. And that doesn't mean that I cannot sense that my body, I can sense that my body is not solid. That it's a supernatural, focused, divine set of senses that in a holographic sense respond to emotions that come from beliefs and intentions, and create form made out of proteins, which are also only energy. And that is why awareness upgrades the true fluid nature of my body will become more and more obvious to me. And what I can see and connect to, I can have an influence on. So just notice that in yourself. Feel your body and feel what it feels. Notice if you get frustrated, or if you're trying hard, or if something's not working, or if you're feeling distracted. What I want you to do is to take a step back and watch yourself watching yourself. Watch yourself reacting. Once you're the observer, no matter what you're observing, you're not in it anymore. Now you're observing from a bigger place. That means you're in a bigger place. From a bigger place, things can shift and move. And now I want you to think about one of the limiting beliefs, the beliefs connected with the old field. Remember, we don't need to be scared of these. We just need to look deeper in to see their beauty at their root. So take one of your beliefs. David, if you can put the slide up, everybody keep your eyes closed, but I want to look at a few and maybe bring a few to your memory. Actually, I can do that from here. So I'll just read a few of these. No, take that down. It's okay. It's okay. I have it. Okay. The past equals the future. If one of these really resonates, then just focus on it. My body is solid and hard to change. The world is solid and impossible to change. It's bad to make mistakes. Wanting things makes me selfish. It's dangerous to change. I can't trust myself. You can't have everything. Being wealthy is not spiritual. I'm here to be a good servant. History repeats. Fear means I shouldn't go there. God is always judging me and I'm always falling short. I have to earn my right to live in this world. It's not fair to prosper if not everyone is prospering. So just if any one of those resonates with you strongly, I want you to focus on that for this exercise. Or if there's another one, something's wrong. I'm fatally flawed. I can't because I'm not enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not lovable enough. There's not enough time. And I want you to feel that belief in your body, but I want you to do it with love. I want you to not try to push away the feeling. Don't suppress it. Don't beat it up. Feel it and be curious. And you can ask that, how do you want to feel that belief? You want to feel it as energy in your body. You're looking now for the energy in your body. And ask that energy the following questions. Do you want more space? Do you want to expand? So maybe you feel energy in your chest. Ask that energy. Do you want to expand? Do you want more space? And give it more space. Let it expand out to your shoulders, to the corners of the room, to the edges of your block. Let it get as big as it wants to get, if it wants that. And you can ask it, what are you? What are you made of? Energy. And notice what happens. You can ask it, is there more? That's an open-ended question. Is there more energy? Is there more information? Is there more meaning? Is there more? Is there more? Let the energy answer you. It might answer you by becoming more intense. It might answer you by dissipating. It might answer you by showing you an image or a word. Or it might just be, are you more? Is there anything you want from me? Ask the energy, is there anything you want from me? Or what would you like from me? Or how can I be there for you? How can I help? And stick with the version of the question that feels like it's pulling you deeper in. You can always make up your own question if you want. The idea here is to connect, to go in rather than bounce out, to open up and expand rather than compress and contract. We're taking the energy, that's a yesh, that's a something, and we're expanding it into the nothing form, out of form, into just energy. We do this by listening, not by transmitting, by asking questions and listening. None of it has to make sense. Making sense is what you know from the past, left brain. We don't want it to make sense. Unless, it just pops in that way. We're looking for the new feelings, the new thought. If you do this enough, maybe you have to practice at home. If you're new to it, it isn't necessarily going to be comfortable, but as you learn how to do this, you will feel pleasure in your body quicker and quicker, more and more, as you just invite the energy to come up and expand. So just feel into the energy. What are you, energy? Do you want more space, energy? Do you go deeper? Is there more? Is there anything you want me to know or see? And if that question puts you in your left brain, don't ask that question. Go back to the other questions. And staying in this space and staying in communication with this energy, with your body, I want you to be aware that with every limiting belief, there is a profound spiritual truth that is big enough to include that belief, doesn't have to fight against it, but yet heal it. So let's say your belief is, I'm not enough, I don't have what it takes. Try to stay focused on your body while I'm talking. I know it's hard, or maybe it's not hard. I don't have what it takes. So you believe that. Maybe you don't have what it takes. So here's a profound spiritual truth that can hold and encompass that belief and heal it. I don't have to have what it takes because the results aren't up to me. There is a higher mind, a greater force that loves me, whose business it is to create the results. My business is to align my thought, speech, and action. Here's another profound spiritual truth for that belief. I'm created this way so that I will look deeper. I'm meant to reveal the new field. I'm meant to do things in a different way. Not like those people who have it all figured out, like those people who don't have it all figured out, who are on a quest to go deeper, who are deeply spiritual, who are seeking in the unknown a more intimate connection, a more miraculous revelation. That's why I am made to do things in a new way, a different way, a deeper way, a more fluid way, a more miraculous way. I am here from the future. I'm not part of the past. So whatever it is, just a couple examples, whatever it is for the limiting belief that you're focusing on, make some space for a profound spiritual truth. What could be a profound spiritual truth? And you want to be listening. You're on listen, you're on receive when we ask this question. What profound spiritual truth is big enough and true enough to encompass the limiting belief and start to heal it? Maybe you're 90 years old and you feel like you don't have enough time. So that could be true from the old field. From the new field, who says we're not living till 500, 1,000, ultimately we'll live forever. So then the profound spiritual truth is, I'm here with this incentive and positioned correctly to make this shift in a way that adds life. The Rebbe spoke about this, that as long as the soul's in the body, even though the body intrinsically gets weaker, the soul's getting stronger. And so is the mission. So we must find a new source of life. So if you're 90, a deeper, profound spiritual truth can be, I am uniquely positioned to help humanity make this shift into a new source of life. And since nobody's done that before, I don't have to know how. I'm co-creating it with it, just exploring it with God. This may be the purpose why I'm here. So you want to look for profound spiritual truth that is big enough from the new field, one that we covered or one that just comes to you. Your soul knows. You're infinitely co-creative. When you're on listening mode, you will hear new thoughts. You will get new truths. You will get new information. Because on listening, you're connected to your higher mind, and your higher mind is connected to the cosmic mind, the divine mind. So mind turned like a bowl, ready to receive. What's a profound spiritual truth that can encompass the limiting belief and start to heal it. And I'll just leave space here in prayer and asking God, Hashem, to help each of us to start to make this healing shift right now. I'll hold a space of probably in silence for at least a minute. So take your time and really feel into this, listen into this. All right, just another 30 seconds and we'll conclude. All right, so open your eyes. We're going to end the main session here and take a 5-minute break before we go into the VIP session. David, if you can put up the link again, in case people want to join VIP. I'm going to ask you either way, once again, whether you're on YouTube, whether you're on Facebook, whether you are in the Zoom as a VIP. If you're on YouTube, please share this video with at least one friend, preferably no more. I mean, share yesterday's video, share the link to the YouTube. If you're on Facebook, invite people to join the Facebook. If you are anywhere on any platform, share the link to join with your friends, gateofunity.com/next edge. Let's be homeopathic drops and start to spread the vibration. All right, thank you so much. 5-minute break starts now, and I'll be back with the VIPs right after. Thank you so much for all your engagement, everybody. Amazing. It's an honor to be with you. Hello, we're back. All right, VIPs. So tell me what